Well, hey everyone. Here with Adrian McKenzie again. I know familiar face. We're back doing a couple videos. We're going to be chatting about market stuff. Obviously Adrian coming from a big market background definitely has a lot of cool insight. We from Warren Buffett investing in gold to Trump getting COVID and recovering. We'll kind of mix a bunch of things in and get a lot of information for you guys. First things first, Adrian, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great, Jason. Thank you for having me.
Cool. No, awesome. Well, hey, I might as well, we've got a list. Might as well start from the top. I've got Warren Buffett investing into gold at the top of my list. What does that mean? Obviously for the gold markets, I know a lot of people expecting gold to continue this run with the Fed printing money, but, curious your opinions on gold as well as Warren Buffett's investment into Barrick.
Well, first of all, I whatever Warren Buffett does, I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett. If you just read his books and follow his principles, you'll know that he's very much a contrarian. He buys when there's blood in the streets. Right now, there's a lot of blood in the streets. There's a lot of uncertainty. In times of uncertainty, people go to gold. Regardless whether it's the standard or not here in America, it's the international standard, and that's, in my opinion, pretty much all that matters when it comes to gold. The gold standard is the seal for most currencies.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. Uncertainty. You've got elections coming up. Him getting COVID for a little bit. That was a good, kind of roller coaster, I would say. And then, again, printing money, and that leads to kind of gold prices. Have you done any investing in gold yourself? Curious if there's any quick little tidbits. Give you insight. People ask, like right now, drilling season is just finishing. Not sure if you had any opinions on should you invest before assays come out, the drilling results, or after. What's kind of your opinion if you have one?
Well, I wouldn't consider myself a gold expert, but what I would say is, being a Canadian, I'm a big fan of the junior miners in Canada. There are a lot of cool little companies that are exploring and having luck. Actually, I used to work with one here in America, in Colorado, and they were pulling out literally 26 ounces per ton. I know that's unheard of, but it was a small little company. They would only pull out a few tons a year, but when they would pull them out, they would pull them out. So they actually partnered with Kinross at one point. That too is a publicly listed company, but I'm not here to really talk about that company. My point is there are a lot of juniors that are doing big things, and especially in the Canadian market, which is the mining capital of the world, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, interesting. So, look, we'll leave it there. Mining's hot, definitely. Do you have a gold price prediction for the end of kind of call it next year, if you want to
I
throw
do
it out there?
not. I wouldn't claim to be that savvy enough to put a price on gold.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you got a lot of banks saying 3K, other people saying 2,500. I mean, I don't think 2,500 could be too far off personally. So, but we'll throw it.
I will have to go with the professionals in that regard.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, cool. I mean, moving onwards, still on Warren Buffett, if we want to stay, very recently kind of announced that he's moving a lot, if not all, of their capital out of airline stocks. What's your take on that? And good, bad?
I think that's a smart move. It's a known fact that the airline stocks are going to be depressed for quite a while. Their earnings are going to be in the toilet. There's no question in the matter. If you've flown in this time of COVID, you would know that it's not easy flying. I recently took some trips out to California, out to Colorado, and it was very stressful. Every other seat was open. Therefore the earnings are not going to reflect a lot less perks than there were, and there weren't any perks to begin with. More importantly, like I said, the price of fuel isn't really changing too much, so that's okay for the airline companies, but they just don't have the revenue anymore. Warren Buffett is a much smarter man than I. So again, if he's rolling out, I'm right behind him.
Yeah. No, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, look, they still have, 70% layoffs or more. I think the flights have reduced by about the same, 70%. And like you said, you go on a flight and, it's best case every other seat. Many times it's like no one to a row, at
Yeah,
least in my experience.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And you know what? That has the ripple effect. Look at Walt Disney now. Walt Disney, because there's no tourism, Disney World had to lay off, I think, 20,000 plus workers over the past couple of weeks.
yeah,
That's a huge number.
yeah. No, it's incredible. I feel like the tourism industry in general, not just airlines, is definitely going to take a hit for the next little while. Self-explanatory, I would assume. Interesting, and I agree with you. I think there's other things to buy than airline stocks right now, for sure.
This is a changing time. It's a very much a changing time. This is what the professionals refer to as a lockdown phase. You got to look at the lockdown stocks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The DocuSigns, the Zooms, the Pelotons of the world. Gyms are no longer up and running. I made a little trade in Peloton last week at 88. I think it's hitting a new year high today of about 100 and oh, let me see my screen here, what it's doing. What's Peloton doing? Let's see. PTON. Yeah, it's up $5. It hit a year high today of 118. Right now it's
Oh,
at 116 and change. But my point being is there's a transition in the market, and money's moving. So money's moving into more lockdown stocks, such as the few I mentioned right there.
yeah. No, interesting. You touch on kind of gyms and that kind of stuff. Obviously, another sector that who knows where we go.
People aren't
Um,
going to gyms anymore. I don't know what it's like in Toronto, but in Florida over here, where we're from, which is a wild state, gyms are still closed.
Yeah. No, here it's yeah, you have to book in advance, and typically it's days in advance, which
Oh, excuse me, they're not closed. Yeah,
yeah,
I take that back, but
still.
there are just a lot different procedures now
Yeah.
in place.
No, I agree. Well, cool. I mean, here, got a bunch of other things, but curious just because you talked about one of your trades. Has there been any others, any other industries you're looking at? Right now, obviously, elections kind of around the corner. It looks like the market's prepping for a Trump win. We don't need to do any politics stuff, but what's kind of your take? What are you looking at?
Well, obviously, being that I have my own public company, I'm obviously my company is my first and foremost priority. Right now, we're concentrating primarily in the solar business, alternative energy. As you know, right now the alternative energy markets are hot with EV cars and the various SPACs that have been coming to market. The EV market, the power supply market, the powertrain market, the electric vehicle market.
Mhm.
All these alternative energy sources are very hot, including solar, where we're trying to focus the majority of our effort right now.
Yeah. No, extremely interesting. Green energy, solar stuff has been taken off. If anyone, I've read an article. It was kind of like the silent bull run. Over the past year and a half, 2 years. That market, that industry has been expanding extremely quickly. And obviously, I look, you guys kind of run a business in that industry, so you're definitely probably feeling the I guess the industry grow and kind of the excitement as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you know, you've spoken to Andrew, who's the CEO of our solar division. Um, he's really the brains behind our solar operation, and the opportunities and the sales that he has created has really opened my eyes to what solar represents. And more importantly, there are a lot of government perks and subsidies. So, with that 26% federal tax credit ending this year, that's dropping to 22% next year for most residentials. So, you know, in my opinion, now's the time to take advantage of that. Most people, if you make a decent income and you have a taxable income, you should definitely take advantage of that because it pays for itself within 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. No, extremely interesting. And you guys have a unique model where they don't really feel the burden. They only feel the savings, which is nice. Um,
It really is. It really is.